Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. I'm gonna turn the music down a slight bit. Hold on one second. Maybe just walk over here. I hope everyone can hear me. Let me know how the audio is. Let me know how the video looks in the chat. I know that there's a lot of excitement about this stream today, and I'm very excited also to show off all the new stuff, including, I don't know if you noticed, that new dance that I was doing at the start of this here. This is not yet in production, but it's in dev right now. Good on the audio and the video. Awesome. Thank you. Luck a buck. Welcome everybody. That is a new dance. Great catch. Yeah, so I'm going to be showing off a bunch of new stuff today, and I'm going to wait a little bit for people to stream in, no pun intended, and we can get going from there. Maybe I'll take a little tour of Core Plaza while we do that, shall we? Totally intended pun. All my puns are intended. That is true. Buckmaster knows me too well. Go over here to the military area, which looks really cool. What? Roller skating? Oh my gosh. How did that happen? Do note that things I am showing off here are sometimes not ready for prime time. That's why they are not in the prod build yet, but I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at some of the stuff that's coming. This is in fact a mount. And of course, can't have roller skates without skateboards. The animations here are not done yet. There'll be a push-off animation and everything like that. And I know that my animator and my art director are probably cringing right now, but that's okay. I just want to show you guys the cool stuff that's coming up. And there's, obviously not finished animations there. Yep. Cool. All right, let's see what else we can do here. So I wanted to start off in Core Plaza. For some people who are new to Core, if you're new to Core, welcome. Core is the one-stop shop for making and publishing high-quality games and running them as multiplayer. High-quality multiplayer games. Everything you're seeing right now was built in Core. And we're going to be showing off some features that are not quite live yet, but that will be coming soon. And that is exciting. So the first thing I think I want to make, maybe over here in the military area, I think I want to make, let's see, I think I want to do something to clean up some of the dirt here. So I'm going to try to make something. Let's see what I can do. I'm going to hop out into the editor, and please ping me with questions. I have notifications turned off in Discord and in Slack, so it's not to interrupt my stream, but I'll try to look over at Twitch chat every once in a while. And maybe I should bring Slack up. Cool. All right, so let's see what we can make here. The first thing I want to show off is actually something pretty cool for those of you who like to write Lua scripts. And it's the script helper, and I'm going to show how that works. So I'm going to let's make just a little, why don't we make a little Roomba-like device here. So I'm going to take a cylinder, I'm going to put it inside a group. I guess Roomba might be whoops, I put the group inside the cylinder. Well, even I mess up every once in a while. I'm just going to call this robot vacuum in case Roomba, I am sure, is trademarked. And then let's go ahead and take this and go like that. Cool. So now I've got my robot vacuum. And I want to make a script for it. So I'm going to make a new script here. And I'm actually going to use a script generator. If you haven't seen the script generator, it's pretty cool. It can give you some easy things like, hey, here's events, some boilerplate for when events for when players leave and join the game. So I'll make a new one here, call this robot vacuum. To use, I don't even know how to spell. It's fine. And let's put that on here. So we'll find my robot vacuum script. Drag and drop him on here. And now all this script right now does is just prints when a player leaves and joins the game, and that print will go here to the event log. And let me look at chat and see if I've got any questions. Yes, sorry, Slack is for us internally at Manticore. Discord is for creators. All right, so I want to add some stuff to this script so it does more than just print my name. So I'm going to open the script, and I'm going to go to the brand new script helper. right here, script helper. And you can this is a dockable window. You can dock it anywhere you want. But basically what it has is it has every object and namespace that we have in core. And I can type here, for instance, core object. And I see the core object class. I see properties associated with it and functions. So one of the functions I want this thing to do is I want it to follow my player with a speed and a minimum distance. So I could look here and see the function definition, and I can add that to this, or on player joined, or I can actually just drag and drop it. So let me make a reference to my robot vacuum in the script. So there's a couple ways I could do this. I could do script.parent, right? Or I could add a custom property and do an object reference. Or I can just take the thing I want to make a reference to and drag and drop it to the add custom property, and I get an automatic custom property there that's filled out already. I can copy the code, put it in here. Oh, I guess I want to put it up here at the top. There, now I've got my prop robot vacuum, and that's a core object that now I can call follow on. I hope everybody's following. Yes, less alt tabbing. It gets better. I can actually drag and drop this function call to the end of the object there, and it puts the colon in for me, and it puts the signature of the function. So I just want a player as a target. I want a speed, let's say 200, and a minimum distance, let's say 400. I think that's centimeters. And let's see if that follows me now. I will drop in. I probably have a bug, right? I do have a bug. Ah, it's not networked. That's easy enough to fix. Let's go ahead and enable networking on this thing. Cool. Now I have a robot vacuum that is following me everywhere I go. But it's not turning to face me, and it's also got a smart material on it, so it looks kind of wonky. So let's fix those two things up really quick. And I also notice that's sort of floating, so I actually want this to be sort of at waist height. And then I'll move this part down here. And now let's turn off smart material on it so we can actually see it go. Watch it one more time, and then I'll put the rotate on. All right, so there's my robot vacuum. Looks like it needs to be maybe 25 more units up, but it's following me around. That's cool. So let me just move this tiny bit up in there. All right, and now I want it to rotate to follow me. So I'm gonna go back to my script. I'm gonna say, hey, robot prop vacuum. Go to my script helper here for core objects and say, I think there is a look at continuous, and I can give it a player target, a speed, and whether it is pitch locked. So it won't, it'll stay there. So I'll just go ahead and drag this, drop it. This becomes player. This becomes true. I do want you to be pitch locked so you don't angle. And I don't know what the speed is in probably degrees per second. Let's say 30. Let's see if that works. Cool, so now it's turning to face me, and it's following me, and it's a little robot vacuum, which is cool. And I use the script helper, which is a feature coming soon. Yes, AI and nav meshing. Well, let's not put the cart ahead of the horse here for a second. All right, so I've got my robot vacuum. That's cool, but what if I wanted to be over here in this graveyard? So let's bring this robot vacuum over to the graveyard. I'll just select him here. Bring him over here to this graveyard. It doesn't make much sense for a robot vacuum to be in a graveyard, does it? So what if we did something else with him? What should we do? What should we put instead of a robot vacuum as the model here? I'm gonna put a client context. I'll put this in a client context real quick. Create number context containing this. A spider. A spider's a good idea. I like that idea. Let's see what I've got here. So in core content, you know what? I bet my ugly face is blocking that. Let me choose, let me hide my camera real quick. There, okay. Now you can see core content. In core content, I have a bunch of work in progress folders. These are folders that you don't see in Core, but this is stuff that we work on internally at Manticore. Stuff that's in work in progress review is almost ready to ship, and stuff that's in work in progress is a little bit farther away, including the skeleton. So this is an animated mesh, and this is a class we are working on that will allow creators to make animated NPCs and other things. Right now we're starting with the animated mesh class. It'll be a way to call animations on a rig. And in fact, if I look here, if I select the skeleton, you can see what sockets the skeleton has. So you have sockets you can attach things to just like players. You have stances. These are sort of looping animations for different stances. And then you have one-off animations. So let's put him underneath my thing here. I'll get rid of the robot vacuum. Let's zero this guy out. Stand him up a little bit. Cool. Now let's see what happens. My prediction is that he will just slide along doing that animation, but that's okay. Yep, so he's following me doing that idle animation. Clearly we want him to walk. Right? I'll answer questions in a second. Let me make this guy walk for a second first. So I just need to change my script a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give my script a reference to the animated mesh. And so now I've got prop skeleton here. I can go in here and I can just say prop skeleton. What are the things I can do on you? In the script helper, I'll just say animated mesh. I see all the properties and I see all the functions, and I'm going to set the animation stance to unarmed walk forward. So I will just say dot animation stance equals, copy this, paste it here. And attempt to index and wait, did I not do that right? Oh, I bet, you know what happened? I bet that this is in a client context and this is not. So let me just take that out of the client context for now and see if that fixes it. Oh, I still have a bug. Inconceivable. Line 7. Prop skeleton dot animated stance animation stance equals. Oh, haha, duh. Got to copy this line. I always think that's going to do that automatically for me when I drag and drop that. Kind of wish it would. All right. Thank you, Waffle. I saw it. You can be my rubber ducky programming buddy. All right. There we go. So that is definitely creepy. Obviously, I could put some triggers on him to make him do attack animations when he gets closer and stuff. He's got all the sockets, so I could attach weapons to his hands. I can, in fact, put full costumes on him because he's got all the sockets that you need. And in fact, I think I'm actually going to do that real quick as the last demonstration of this cool animated mesh feature. We've got a couple more animated meshes coming too that you can see here. Look at this little cool fox guy. We've got some more spiders and monsters and stuff I'm sure that will come in the future. All right, so let's go to community content. I'm going to look for the mannequin from that Sobchak made. I'm going to import him. So normally this mannequin, when you put him in a scene, whoops, comes with a default pseudo armor that you can walk up to and put on by attaching to your player character, right? So there. Now I'm the Tin Man. Now the skeleton cannot get me. But I want to modify this script to make the skeleton wear that armor. So I'm going to do that really quick, hopefully without any bugs. So I'm going to go into the mannequin, and I am going to go in here. I'm going to get rid of, let me de-instance this first. And client context, right? I'm going to get rid of this part. I'm going to put this here. Yes, that's fine for now. Let's zero this out. Close enough. All right, so now I just need to adjust this script. I will not point out that typo. Subject. Okay, so now I want this script to also have a reference to my skeleton. Put my skeleton in there. Define it first. And then this is the line that attaches each piece by walking the hierarchy. So instead of that, I'm going to go and find, I think, attach core object is something on animated mesh. So I can take my animated mesh, prop skeleton, and then say drag and drop attach core object. And it needs a core object and a string. Well, the core object is this child here, and the string is child.name. And that should work. Let's see. Oh, it's not animating. What did I do wrong? I tested this yesterday. Is there flying animation? So I'll get all the questions in a few minutes, but let me figure out why I've got a bug there. Oh, I didn't trigger it. That is why. So let's take this off and this off. We don't need the triggers. That'll probably do it. Never program like me, kids. Waffle's probably cringing. I know Eric is cringing. I don't see white space is the problem. It's just an affliction I have. Thank you, Gabriel. Yes, thank you, Standard Combo. There we go. There's my skeleton wearing a suit of armor. So what's really cool about this is you can actually hide the mesh itself and just attach any outfit you want to these and any weapons you want. So this is sort of full humanoid NPCs. It will not have the full set of animations that players have. It will have a sort of a smaller set, but it will have attacks, walks, runs, death animations, stuff like that. I'm not sure if we're gonna do flying or swimming, but it will have the basics to make things attack and of course creepily follow you in this graveyard. Awesome. So let me go look at Twitch chat and I will answer any other questions that I happened to see. Yes, we'll have some animals, 1,000 versus 1,000 fights. Yes, we'll see. We'll see. And I know there was a question up higher. Oh, about making your own custom animations for non-humanoids and such. So the way we're going to start this feature off is we're going to deliver the animated mesh. And with the animated mesh, there'll be different types of rigs, right? Different types of skeletons. This one's an actual skeleton on the skeleton, but this one's a fox, and there'll be spiders and other things. And you will be able to put whatever costumes you want on those, and in fact hide the mesh entirely. So once we do a spider rig and animations, you could completely make a robot spider by kit bashing. So I want to stress that this is not our full NPC system. This is the basis of our NPC system. It's going to be called Animated Mesh. They should be going in somewhat soon. I don't want to promise a release date yet, but they will be going in somewhat soon. And then on top of that, we'll probably build a more full-featured NPC system. If you're an enterprising Lua programmer, such as Destroyer or Waffle, I'm sure you could absolutely write your own mesh nav system and state machine to drive the whole thing and have full NPCs. Can you show the chubby dragon? Sure. This one doesn't animate yet, so I wasn't going to show him, but there he is. He would make a really good MOBA minion, in my opinion. That rhymed, and I did not mean it to. Okay. So what else? Let's do something totally now for something completely different. I'm going to exit out. And we'll go back to the front ends. I did want to show off some characters that are in the works. So I know that we've got a lot of characters that are in the pipe that are not been shown publicly yet. Obviously, everyone who is in the alpha, that means everyone watching today, because we're still in open alpha, will get this crash test dummy with the alpha logo on it, and you'll get this one too. And every core user, player or creator, will get our standard set of characters here in both sort of sleeved and sleeveless variants. And you can, of course, mix and match any of those. Eventually, we're going to do a Founders Pack, and the Founders Pack is going to be really cool. It's going to include a bunch of stuff, but including a bunch of really cool custom blinged out skins for your characters, and also there'll be more unique heads. So this is an example of some of these. These are not finished, and I'm going to stress highly again here that a bunch of stuff I'm about to show is not finished, so I don't want my art director to yell at me over Slack. But there will be a founder pack, and it will come with a bunch of awesome things, including these founder skins and unique emotes, a unique mount, and stuff like that. This is a guy I think who's not on live yet. This guy looks totally awesome. And again, all these pieces are mix and match. Can you force a person to have a certain character in your game to go with the theme of your game? This is a great question that we have wrestled with a lot, and we have, I think, a good solution for it, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. But we want to give that control to the creators, but also we want to give control to the players. So if you just bought a really cool skin that you really want to use in a game, you should be allowed to, even if it doesn't necessarily fit the theme of the game. That said, as a bonus to players, if they don't own a skin that is themed for that game, you should be, as a creator, able to give them temporarily the skin that matches the theme of that game. So we don't know exactly how we're going to land on that yet, but we'll get there. Let me go so debug show all content. So this is stuff that's not near finished yet. It's a lot farther away from being finished, and you'll see a bunch of bugs and you'll see a bunch of blocking stuff. So that does not represent the final quality, but I did want to show some of these off because they are super cool. This cowboy guy, for instance, if I drag him up here and edit him, he has so many cool color slots. I can make, let's make his shirt white. Let's make his pants white, but on the secondary of the shirt, let's make it a red vest. Oh, he's awesome. I love this guy character so much. And what else can I do? Let's show off some other neat ones that are coming along. For instance, this guy. So just all the characters that are coming along are super high quality, super awesome looking. Yeah, cowboys, we're gonna have everything. Ninjas, cowboys, everything you can think of. This guy is also super cool. I think he goes with this hood, actually. And again, this is block-in state, so that's not textured or anything yet. This is just the rough block-in. Please don't kill me. Some of these too. I love showing these off, even though they're just block-in. Twixler, which one's your favorite one? This one, or the karate outfit? What else can I show here that is super cool? Of course, where we're streaming, our Twitch hoodie. This one is amazing. Check this guy out. Again, rough in state, not finalized. We'll have textures and everything. But once you get this character, you'll be able to put that puka shell necklace on anybody, which is completely awesome. So yeah, lots of really neat stuff coming. Let me show off some of the gals too. So if I go to the gal and I edit her, lots of really cool stuff coming. Again, all this is rough block and state, and I'm not promising a date for any of these, but we have lots of different themes. So in core, roughly we have about 5 different themes: fantasy, military, modern, urban, sports. I know I'm forgetting one. Sci-fi. And so we want to do a bunch of different characters that sort of match those. And so this is obviously a fantasy character. What's really cool about some of these is because of our mix and match system, if I take this one, for instance, with the torn knees, and I put it on the skeleton, you actually see the skeletal kneecaps through there. Likewise, on some of these that have the bare arms, you see the skeletal arms in there, which is just so awesome. All right, so that's characters. Let me go back. Save, yes. Mounts, you saw the skateboards and the roller skates. Emotes, we have a bunch of new emotes coming that are not in there yet. Probably my favorite one is our tea dip emote for when you are just drinking tea after you maybe have killed somebody in a PvP game and you want to show them how easy you thought that was. Awesome. All right, let's go. So let's do one more cool thing. I don't even know what time I'm at now. 2:23. All right. So yes, let's go create a brand new project. Stream. All right. So here I've got an empty project. All right. I'm gonna need help from Twitch chat. Look, Waffle. It matches my coding scheme, organization scheme. All right, so I'm gonna need help from Twitch chat here. I want to go somewhere in the world, and we'll pick a height map from there. And I want to show people how easy it is to bring a height map from somewhere in the world into Core. So here I am on Tangram Height Mapper. It's a really cool little site on GitHub. And where should we go? Brittany. Okay. Brittany is the south of France. Is that correct, Frederick? I'm not positive. Is it south? Isle of Man, the Grand Canyon. I like the Grand Canyon. I think I did that one already, but that is, hold on, I know where that is. Wait, that's not even France. This is France. It's like right here somewhere. I think it's here. Is that correct? No idea. I'm gonna have to trouble finding that one. All right. Any other suggestions from people who don't work at Manticore? All right, let's take one from like right about. I just need to get a good zoom in of something. Let's take one with these nice rivers here. All right, so I'm gonna click export, and that's gonna save that to my computer. Real quick, I'm just gonna go into Photoshop. I'm gonna say open. I'm gonna grab that one that I just downloaded. You can see it here. I'm gonna crop it to 1024 by 1024. Crop. There's a couple things you have to do to make this work in Core. You need to make it 16-bit mode, 16-bit per channel, and you need to make it grayscale. Discard. There, that will work. I also like to put a little bit of Gaussian blur on it just to smooth it out. There. So now that I've got that, I can go here, import from height map, select that height map we just saved, import. Here it is. So that was pretty fast. All right, so now I've got this cool height map, and we want to do a few things with it. Before we had terrain materials where you could just take and drag and drop a terrain, and you got automatic, let me find some good cliffs here. You got automatic cliff faces on the cliff faces, and that was cool and everything. And as you sculpted the terrain, you got the cliff faces adjusted, but you couldn't paint, which was no fun. So we have made a new painting material that is in work in progress review. Now, work in progress review are things that are closer to shipping, so that is exciting. So I can make a new custom material here from this and drag and drop it on. And now if I go edit this material, you can see that I've actually got 4 material slots, each one with a top and a side. So if I say I want grass clumps here on the top, and let's make this a little bit bigger, and then cliffs on the side, and again make this a little bit bigger. Let me see, I want 2D, I want some stride. Yes, here we go. So I got some nice mountains here that get the automatic cliffs on the side. But the new thing about this material is if I go to the paint panel, which soon will be active, you can see I've got other materials here. So if I grab this and I just paint, I can paint a different material. Like in this case, it's forest floor. And what's really cool is that if you set the strength down really low, you can actually see it blends in per height of the height map of the material. So you can get just the leaves in if you want to, like that. So I can paint all this in, which is awesome. What else can I do? I can paint some dirt. It looks like there's a snow. I can paint snow on the tops of the mountains, which is cool. So that's all cool. But it still sort of looks a little bit, I would say early 2000s, late 90s, because we don't have any foliage. So let's go back. I'm gonna erase some of this and let's add some foliage. So very soon we're gonna be enabling the paint, and then a little bit after that we'll be enabling the foliage, but I wanna show how this works. So I'm gonna add a piece of foliage here, and you can pick from any static mesh that we have in core. I'm gonna pick, for instance, in this case, grass tall. And you can see it spread it all over my terrain automatically. And I want to adjust some of the settings on it. So I want to make it draw out even farther. In fact, let's go even farther. So it really draws out to the distance. I want it to be maybe a little bit thicker. So let's drag that down. And I also want it to follow the terrain. So if I say align to surface, there we go. But well, it's not really quite thick enough yet. How's that? Maybe not. Maybe there. All right, now I don't want it on my cliff faces here, so I'm going to reduce the maximum angle it can draw at. There. And then you can see in the distance there, it's fading in smoothly with a dither. And you can adjust even those settings here if you want to make the cull distance lower or higher. I'm going to do stat FPS real quick, just so you can see that I am on 60 frames a second still. I am also on a laptop, just FYI. Streaming this from a laptop, so let me grab my guy here. Roller skates, skateboard, no, hold on. Let's ride. I think we need a horse for this. So that looks pretty good, but we're not done yet. You caught me. I do have a nice GPU in this laptop, but it is a laptop. All right, so I'm going to add some more stuff. So what's really cool about this, you saw earlier how I was able to paint different materials down, like this forest floor. Well, obviously what a forest floor needs is some trees, right? So I'm gonna add another piece of foliage. I'm gonna grab one of our redwood trees here. And I'm gonna say, hey, redwood trees, instead of going on the grass material, go on my forest floor material only. So now that I've done that, oh, and I wanna set the culling, the draw distance farther. And in fact, I want this to be really far, so that they don't disappear even if I go really far out, because they're trees, they shouldn't. And now I can paint a nice little forest. Let's paint a nice little forest over here, a happy little forest. And you can see that shadows are sort of disappearing, so I can actually go into my redwood trees and say, hey, we should enable the distance field lighting for those trees. So that way you'll get some shadows at distance before the real shadows draw in. And let's do some other stuff. So it gets better. Don't worry, it gets better. I'm glad you like it, but just you wait. I think I also want some. I think I also want some ferns in my forest, so I can go foliage, add a new piece of foliage. Let's say fern. Let's do maybe this one, and set this to be also material channel 1. And then I want some random scale on these ferns. So I want some giant ferns, and I want them to align to the surface. Hey, that's too much. Oh, I should also turn on collision on these trees so that I can actually collide with them. Right, now I want to add a river through this little valley here, so I'm going to go say plain. Let's just stretch this out. Let's put our water material on that. Cool, and now I want to go to my terrain painting. I'm gonna add this material. I'm gonna make this third material, instead of being dirt, I want this third material to be river rock. So I'm gonna say river rock. And then I want the side to be this forest floor. All right, so now if I paint, oops, that was the forest, undo. Now if I paint, I get river rock. And it looks like I didn't do the forest floor in the right place. Hold on. Forest floor. Awesome. So now I can paint some river rock along the side edges of my river, but I also want to do special grass along that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foliage. Let's add a new grass. I'm going to take grass short this time. I'm going to say, hey, grass short, you should draw out very far. You should be on channel 2, which is my river rock channel. You should have a very tall, I want this to be like reeds. Cool. And then I only want these to draw right at the bank of the river. So I'm going to do it. Let me raise my water up a tiny bit here. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say on this grass short, you should only draw if your slope is above 15 degrees but below 23. So that way it should only sort of draw on the edges of my river where that slope is correct and not in the very bottom of it. Although that, oh, because that's the other grass. Here, let me paint some river rock there. Cool, so I should get these reeds if I did it right along there. And let's paint some more. Whoops. Another thing you can paint in is the wetness in the channel. So we actually have a specular sort of wet channel that you can paint in. So if I want to paint some wet along the side of this, let's get another nice forest going over here. And then lastly, instead of snow, I think I'm actually going to want to do some neat cobblestone to make some roads. So I'm going to edit the material, go down to this fourth material, look for some stone. I think I'll take this one, maybe make it 0.5. Just make a nice road that goes down here. Cool. But this road I think could use a little bit of detail on it too. So I'm actually going to go into foliage, and you can show off that you can use things that are not actually even foliage here. So if I type stone, I can get this stone brick, and I can say, hey, stone brick, you should be on channel 3, which is where my cobblestone is, and I'm going to scale it up a little bit, make them bigger but keep them flat. We'll turn collision on them. Yep, that is it. So now it's really cool. So I can actually just paint a road like right through the forest, and the trees will get out of the way, and stones will go in there, which is cool. Let's get a little bit better lighting in here. Maybe just add a fog volume real quick. You can see that those ferns are dropping in and out, so I didn't set the distance correctly on those ferns. Let's go fix that. I just like to make everything giant. Now, one thing I want to stress is that this is still, even though I started this map from a height map, it's actually still voxels, right? So what I could do if I wanted to is I could go into the sculpt tool, and let's sculpt with a shape. Let's find a cool shape to put into the terrain. And you can see the foliage went on top. of everywhere the grass is. I could actually paint that now if I wanted to, if I want to paint a forest on top of this. Guess I would need my trees to be a little closer together to actually get a forest on top of that. Do our river rock up there. I think it looks best with the grass. So this is fully all still voxels. I can carve out a cave if I want to. Let's do that. Oh, 2D brush. And now check this out. I love this feature. So I'm going to paint this in here. And now I want, on this material, I want one piece of foliage. If I add the ivy, put it on that channel, and say, hey, you should only draw basically on the walls. So you should only draw when the angle is above 80 degrees. I think this is the right index, 3. No, maybe it's 2, because it's 0 based. There we go. Align. There, so you can see I get all this ivy hanging down off of the ceiling and the walls. Put that all the way up. All right, and then I have to paint. I put it on this one, so I paint that. There we go. So it looks pretty good. It was pretty quick to create. Yes, we are built, of course, on top of Unreal 4, so we're definitely using the power of Unreal 4 under the hood. What's really cool is that this also will all feed into the quality settings. So if the user has the quality settings set low, we could decimate and draw less. If you're a creator and you want not this much grass, because you think that your players might have computers that are not as powerful, you could also dial the grass down. I've got it sort of overdriven here just because I like to set everything to 11 all the time. But are there any questions in chat? This doesn't look like core anymore. Well, hopefully it looks better, and hopefully we're going to continue to make core look better. Remember, we're just still in alpha. We're just still starting out, and we're really, really excited with all the stuff that we're going to bring, all the new features and everything we're going to bring soon. What about brush shapes is a great question. So brush shapes. So there's brush shapes for both painting and for sculpting. Let me show you. I'm going to turn the grass off for a second. I'm going to make basically the grass go away so you can see here. And I'm going to go to sculpting. So in sculpting, you can see I've got just a round brush here, and I can change what type of fall off I want and how much fall off I want. So if I want to be super thick, I can change the stride so it only if you've ever used ZBrush, the stride will make it so that it only does it as I move. And then I can actually use a mask here, and then we're going to add more masks, but right now we've got some masks like this, which are sort of just like cellular noise, but it looks pretty cool as you just add it along like that. We've got some masks that are different shapes, and we're going to add a bunch more, but for instance this shape right here gets you sort of nice mountains, and especially if you do 2D brush and you do stride like that, you get sort of nice mountain ranges out of this shape. Look at that. That is awesome looking. So thanks for that question. And what else? And then for painting, so painting similarly, you can actually use those same masks for painting. So if you want to paint in an area with a pattern and you set your strength low, all right, let me see what these other questions are. Afram says, I don't remember what game this reminds me of, but I seem to recognize it. Yeah, it's, you know, we've sort of joked internally that somebody should build WoW 2 and somebody should build WoW 2 in core. And, you know, it was a joke at first, but the more I look at this, I'm like, you know, if I imagined what WoW 2 would look like, it would be something like this. So maybe that's what it reminds you of. And turn my grass back on. Another really cool thing is that you can, even once you've set all these up, you can still change the model. So if I wanted this grass to become daisies, I could just change it to daisy patches, change the size. So generally, we don't promise release dates on features. I think that the painting is going to go into the next release, that said. And then the foliage will come in a release after once it's stable. It's definitely not stable right now, and it's definitely not, the UI isn't just where we want it to be for it right now. So it's an awesome, awesome, awesome feature. We just have some improvements to make on it still. But I think the painting's coming in actually very soon. But I could be wrong about that, so don't hold me to it. So there, clearly I want to make the daisies not spawn on the angle there. But yeah, it was pretty. I also found out I could, I like to use things in ways that they're not intended. And one of the things I found I can do is if I take the ivy, let me delete this one first. Take the ivy. And then if I say, do not align, I get like these weird brambles. Then I can add, like I said, you can do anything besides, you can also add things that are not foliage. So if I look for the horn shape we have here, I can now make giant horns coming out of, thorns coming out of these brambles. And eventually you'll be able to also replace it. So right now you can't replace the material. But soon I think you'll be able to replace the material, so I'll be able to drag and drop any material on those. So yeah, that went from really pretty to really scary very quickly. Another cool thing you can do real quick, and this will probably be the last thing I show, is I showed you that there was the wetness channel in the painting. You can actually use that as one of the channels for spawning things. So if I go and say add foliage kelp, and come in here and say, hey kelp, you should be on channel 4, which is the wetness channel, and then I paint some wetness down here, I will get the kelp spawning. Let's make a little bit more of it. Too much kelp. There. And let's use a regular brush with a smaller size so I can more carefully control that. And then if I want to get rid of an area, I can actually just hold Alt and unpaint. Basically Alt erases, so I can erase the wetness out here if I messed up and got too much kelp outside there. Just missing the camphor for yes, I didn't put the underwater volume on, and I know that Sasha probably hates this use of this ivy here, but I think it looks so cool. It totally looks like brambles to me. Anyways, that I think is near the end of my stream, and I hope I got most of the questions. I know that a lot went by that I didn't see, but this is the type of stuff that we're working on every day. And we're really excited to get it out into core so that you guys can make more awesome games and have as much power and flexibility as you want in making those. Even this terrain that you saw, I just downloaded it from this website. So really quick to just find a cool piece of the world, the Grand Canyon or Everest or like whatever you want, and snapshot it from here, get it in the right format, and set your game there. I do have some time for questions, probably about 10 minutes for questions, please. We do have swimming, and we eventually definitely want to have vehicles. They're not on the near-term roadmap right now. We want to get NPCs working first. And some other features, but it's definitely something we're planning and thinking about. And yeah, I'd love to answer any more questions. When is the next patch? I don't know if I think we're targeting, I don't know when we're targeting, next week? I don't know. Maybe one of the creator relations people can help me with that. Spawning templates, moving spawn foliage. Okay, thanks, Stan. Great questions. So I will, and I saw the other ones up there too. So I'll approach all of them. So right now the foliage system is using instance meshes, so you cannot use them with templates. You can, however, give them collision, and you can shoot them and everything. If I just go ahead and grab a rifle here, let's grab my advanced assault rifle. So they're physically in the world, but you could not put templates into this. You can only put individual static meshes. However, we do want to expose the ability to change parameters on them. And we do want to be able to have an offset so you can move them. For instance, if you want to sink the trees into the ground a little bit more for hilly areas, or if you want to make runes and you want to have a castle wall. I didn't even show off the castle pieces. They're coming online. That'll have to be for next stream. All right. So, Punch, I'm going to answer your question about visual scripting because it's an interesting question. Visual scripting is something that we have definitely played with, obviously. Unreal itself does use a form of visual scripting under the hood. It's not something we are planning for the near term. We have decided to use Lua as our scripting language for a variety of reasons. But the cool thing is that we do make it so that it's very easy for people to share their Lua. So people can write a framework in Lua. So even if you don't know how to program Lua, somebody can write a framework that you should be able to easily use, bring into your game, adjust some settings, adjust some parameters, and just use it. And we want, like, for instance, this assault weapon here. All the logic for this weapon was written in Lua, but I didn't have to know how to program it. I could just drag and drop it in. So that's our plan for right now. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in the community writes a visual scripting language, boxes and wires converter that outputs Lua. So anything is possible along those lines. Where was some other questions I missed? Are you working with Epic on Core? Well, that's a great question. Obviously, we are using Unreal 4, and we're using Unreal 4 in the way that any game developer would. We just happen to build our own editor that's completely our own. It doesn't use a single line of Unreal 4 editor code inside Unreal. So one way to think about it is that we recreated an entire game creation suite inside of Unreal runtime. That said, we love Epic. They love us. We've talked to them. We're, thinking about, obviously we have a license for Unreal, and we're, all that stuff. So we're not directly working with them in the sense that we're not partnered with them in that sense, but we are working with them in the sense of any game developer would. Are there any new physics things in the works? Physics is definitely something on our minds for sure. We want to improve physics. We want to make it better, especially for vehicles. So I think at the time that we approach vehicles, we'll also look at the physics system in totality and figure out how we can make it better. All right, I think that is it. I think I'm probably going to wrap up. I don't even know what time it is, but... Editing the color of terrain. Yes, good question, Twixler. I didn't show it, but if I come out here and go into the terrain material that I've got, I can tint each one of these. So if I want these river rocks here to be tinted, I can definitely do it. Cool. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for all the questions. I hope you're excited about the new features. I'm sorry we can't promise dates for all of them, but we're working on them very hard, and some of them will come in sooner than others. But they will be well worth it when they finally come in, because it's going to be able to make some awesome games. I'm going to sign out. Thanks for watching, and hope everybody had a good weekend and has a great week ahead. Bye.